Howdy and welcome back to Celebrating Vintage Model Kits. Going to be looking at another smaller Japanese company from the late 50s, early 60s. This is the 1963 Sanwa kit of the Kawanishi H6K4, otherwise known as the Mavis, an Allied reporting code name. Also the Type 97 Large Flying Boat. This is kit number 137. And it's in 1/165th scale, so this is probably about the smallest scale kit that we've looked at so far. Now, Sanwa is kind of an enigma as far as some true history on it. Max over at Max's Models did a video on Sanwa, and I'll include that in the description of this video if you want to link to that and take a look at his take on it. But they appear to have come about somewhere between 1955 and say 1959. A couple of different sources cite different dates on that. They made all kinds of different model kits, a lot of original molds for themselves. They did, looks like possibly, repop some stuff. A lot of it was motorized, kind of toy-like, typical of these early Japanese kits. They also got into slot cars. They did a whole series of full-size guns. Around 1960, supposedly, they may have changed their name to Tokyo Plamo, or Playmo. But that date doesn't quite jive up, since this one still has the Sanwa logo. So a lot of these kits were reboxed under that Tokyo Playmo label. So I question that 1960 date as well. I've seen other ones showing 63 or 64 is when Tokyo Playmo name started. They appear to have exited the model kit market around 1964 and started focusing on electronic toys. What appears to be still the same company still exists in Japan, and they're heavy into RC stuff. And it looks like they're still actually even importing things into the United States. So that's best as I can come up with, the history on Sanwa. But again, take a look at Max's video on it and, see what you think of his history on it, and maybe come to your own conclusion. So the Mavis, not much to say about it. It had its first flight 14 July of 1936, entered service in January 38. Not many of them were built, only about 215. There were some civilian versions of them as well. It was mainly designed for long-range patrol, some bombing. It could carry a couple of torpedoes. I believe there's a couple of incidents where it did make some torpedo runs on Allied shipping. But it was soon eclipsed by the H6K Emily, which was a much better flying boat, and some consider to be one of the best flying boats of World War II. So that's a little bit about the Mavis itself. So let's take a look at our kit. We've got this really neat watercolor painting on the cover here. And I don't know if you can see it on here or not, but there's this kind of texture to the box, which is kind of neat. And this is all written in English, even though this is a Japanese market kit. But they misspelled Japanese. So we got plastic model construction kit made in Japan, and the Sanwa logo down here. On the side, repeat of the top name. This side here, same thing, the Sanwa logo again. The end has the repeat of the box art. You get your kit number, and here it is written in Japanese. Same thing on this side. You can see it's a stapled together box, which is fairly common for Japanese kits throughout, up until I think the 80s. And you can see it's directly printed onto the cardboard, so it has a little bit of a duller look to it. The box bottom is also stapled. And here we have our instruction sheet, all in Japanese. It's a one-sided sheet. Start out with another drawing of the aircraft here. Classic model, Sanwa logo. We do have on the bottom here number call out for the trees that are included. And then your step-by-step. Assembling the fuselage. The planing bottom is done in 3 separate parts and separated from the top of the fuselage, which is kind of a different way of doing that. Some additional parts for the fuselage and the center wing. Then your outer wings, and it looks like you put the little backs for the propellers on there at this point. Other wing. Assembling the wings on here, it looks like we do have movable flaps. And then the struts and pontoons, tail and struts, and then putting the propellers on with appears to be push pins. And that is it for that. No painting instructions that I can see unless it's written here somewhere in Japanese. Those of you who speak Japanese, maybe you can or read Japanese and tell us what that's saying. Then here's our decals, and these are in pretty bad shape. I hope that this is just aged and turned this way, and this is not the way that they would come, because they are pretty bad. We got something else written there in Japanese as well, and nothing on the back. It appears that it came in a couple of bags. So here's our, take a look at our fuselage halves first. And we've got quite a bit of flash on these. And it's kind of a softer plastic. You can see the detail. It's not very sharp. The edges are very soft. Heavy rivet detail. Especially for something this small. And looks like we got these 2 big giant locator pins right in the middle. And it appears that these have warped a bit. So a little bit of rubber banding or clips to hold it together until it dries. That's your fuselage halves. And then here we have our wing center section molded as one piece. Heavy flash. And here's our outer wing panels. Same thing again. Very soft on its detail. Really thick. And there's where your movable flap would go. Here's your other wing, same thing. All raised lines, nothing engraved on here. Here's our tail plane. Similar again, all raised for the elevators and trim tabs. And then here's the glue that would come with it. Not often are we finding the glue in these kits, but you got your little tube of glue, and it still feels soft, so could maybe use it still. And then here are the extra pieces. Here's our planing bottoms, and these are done in red plastic. That's your front, there's your middle piece. In the rear, Looks a little warped, maybe. Again, this has got a weird feel to it, plastic-wise. Here's the bottom of the outrigger pontoons, also done in this red. Let's see what we got here. Flaps. There's our flaps. Here's our engine nacelles. Got a nice big sinkhole there. And not much for engine representation. I mean, you know, this scale, you're not going to get too much. And it looks like all these have got kind of like this dip sinkhole there. So it's got a lot of flash on it. This one's not dipped too far. And this one, a little bit of dip too. Some more flash on it. And then our propellers are pretty simple. A lot of flash on these. There's our main wing support struts. It's our vertical tail surface. Got some ejector pin mark on there. And then a few more struts. Top of the pontoons. And then we have some clear pieces. We got the side blisters. There's the main cockpit. And this is probably, I think, the nose. The nose of the tail. Yeah, tail gunner's position. And these all have framing on the inside. So good luck painting those. And we have a little thing here, which is, I think that's the Type 97, written in Japanese. So there you have it. That is your Sanwa H6K flying boat. And you didn't have a lot, if you wanted to build one of these Mavises, there weren't a lot of options at the time. A couple of the other Japanese manufacturers, some of the small guys, put out some kind of similar style kits to this. A company called Sankyo put one out in 1/150th scale in 1962. And then another company called YMC put one out in 1/202 scale in 1961. So these little, really tiny Mavises were about it. Up until 1970, when Hasegawa brought out their 1/72nd scale Mavis. There, as far as I could tell, are no other boxings of this particular kit. I was not able to locate one in the Playmo logo, so I don't know if it was ever issued under the Playmo name as well. Those of you in Japan who may have some more information on these kits, if you've got some knowledge on this, definitely let us know in the comment section. And as always, if you've built one of these, tell us about your experience building this, or any of the Sanwa kits for that matter. If you got one of these sitting on your shelf, definitely take a picture of it, send it in for our next viewer build video. Well, that's all for today. Thanks for watching, and have yourself a great rest of your day.